Discover the shocking truth of Ragnar Lothbrok's dark legacy, uncovering sleep's hidden horrors. Men and women throughout history spoke in hushed tones about nights when they couldn't wake up, where the grip of sleep held them in a stranglehold. But no legend evoked as much terror as the one clinging to the name Ragnar Lothbrok. This Viking king was more than a warrior. He was a nightmare, a dark specter said to invade the dreams of those who dared whisper his name. Folks claimed that if you fell asleep thinking of Ragnar, you'd awaken trapped in a waking nightmare, struggling for breath while shadows whispered secrets of forgotten fears. Across the rugged coasts of Scandinavia, stories spread like wildfire. There was the curious case of a fisherman in Norway whose nightly visions turned to horror after he found a mysterious pendant sealed in a long-buried grave. They said he dreamt of Ragnar riding a storm-tossed ship, sails billowing like trapped souls, culminating in his desperate screams echoing across the fjords. All they found was silence come morning. After that, the fisherman didn't just sleep, he faded, a ghost before his time, consumed by legends of power and prophecy he never sought. The tension hung thick in the air, like a brewing storm. In a small village on the edge of the world, the townsfolk spoke of the bone-chilling cold that would sweep through, a harbinger of Ragnar's dark influence, when someone dared to challenge fate or talk back to the unjust. In the middle of the night, a piercing scream would often pierce through the eerie quiet, yanking everyone from their slumber. They'd rush to the windows, hearts racing, only to find another villager standing at the edge of their property. Eyes wide, pupils darting, unable to explain the terror etched across their face. It was said that each victim bore a mark, a shadowy tattoo appearing like a curse on their skin, the image of a raven. Was it the devil's tattoo, or simply the price of knowledge too heavy to bear? No one knew for certain, but curiosity gnawed at them. What lay behind those cursed dreams? What price would they pay for the truth of Ragnar's dark legacy? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. But those who dared to sleep unbothered would soon discover an uninvited guest, a whisper that stirred the quiet, a presence lurking in the corners of their dreams. Could it truly be Ragnar, beckoning them closer to his chilling embrace? As dawn broke, a thick fog would linger over the land, accompanied by eerie outlines of ships on the horizon. And just when hope flickered, the specters of their own doubts crept in. Were they waking up, or were they merely trading one nightmare for another? The truth lay shrouded, waiting to be uncovered, each whisper of Ragnar's legacy luring them deeper into a darkness they would never escape. What would happen if they finally found the courage to face their fears? The shadows lengthened as night fell over the village, an ominous cloak wrapping around the homes. Whispers weaved through the air like chill winds, a prelude to the horrors that would come. Each villager could feel it, the tightening of their chests, the sweat pooling cold against their skin. Tonight would be different. Sophia, a young woman known for her fierce spirit, had heard the tales. A raven-esque mark had appeared on her wrist, dark and sinister, ever since she dared to question the legends. Not one to cower in fear, she refused to let Ragnar control her through dreams. With clenched fists, she decided to delve into the mysteries surrounding the curse. With the moon hanging low, casting eerie shadows across her path, she made her way to the old woodworker's cottage. Bjorn was the village's elder, tasked with keeping the ancient lore alive. His frail hands, calloused and weathered, held secrets no one else dared to speak. Sophia found him hunched over a table scattered with bones and feathers, as if he was mid-ritual. "Heed my words, child," Bjorn rasped, eyes glistening in the dim light. "Ragnar seeks to draw you in. He thrives on fear and despair. You think you can face him, but many have tried and failed." Sophia felt a surge of defiance. "I will not be afraid. Tell me how to stop this." Her voice trembled, betraying her resolve. Bjorn fell silent, the air thick with tension. Finally, he lifted a single feathered raven, its deep blackness absorbing the light around it. To confront Ragnar's legacy, he warned, you must offer him something of your own. What do you mean? She felt a knot build in her stomach. I have nothing. Ragnar demands a sacrifice, Sophia. What do you hold dear? Only then will you face the truth, your fears, your knowledge, even your will to remain awake. Sophia's heart thundered in her chest. The townsfolk were counting on her. Could she really summon the courage to face the darkness? Before Bjorn could say more, the shrill scream of a distant villager shattered the night. The whisper stirred again, dark and enticing, pulling her even closer to the edge of despair. Bjorn's eyes widened in alarm. You must hurry. The longer you hesitate, the deeper Ragnar's night will seep into your soul. Rushing from the cottage, Sophia sprinted through the fog, urgency pushing her forward. One by one, she approached her fellow villagers, urging them to embrace their fears before sleep claimed them wholly. After a series of frantic knocks, the doors creaked open, revealing startled eyes staring back, confusion dancing with dread. Believe me, she cried, a desperate fire flickering within. We must confront the darkness together. We cannot let Ragnar win. But her pleas fell on ears dulled by nightmares. Suddenly, a flickering sense of hope sparked within her. If they united, wouldn't his strength reside in their fears? How could they cast away the hold Ragnar had on them if they fought together? Yet doubt gnawed at her resolve. Did she dare risk everything for a chance at defeating a dark king? As the horizon began to glow with hints of dawn, the whispers quieted, but dread lingered. Sophia faced a choice: would she step into the unknown, brave the shadows alongside the villagers, or flee, letting fear sweep her away? In that instant, she caught sight of the raven marks marring the skin of those around her, and her heart sank. What would happen if they didn't face Ragnar together? Each heart around her beat like the drums of war, setting the stage for a battle between reality and nightmare. The air thickened with an unspoken truth as she clenched her jaw, determination surging through her veins. Whatever sacrifices lay ahead, she needed to know the truth. But would she find allies or foes in the dark? Time was slipping away. Ragnar's specter loomed on the horizon, closing in. Would they rise as a united front, or would the village fall prey to the dark legend once and for all? Only dawn would tell. Sophia's heart raced as the last shred of night clung to the village, a cloak heavy with tension. The air iced around her, each breath sharp and stinging. She needed to convince them, but how could she? They were trapped in a world spun by Ragnar's dark whispers. She glanced over her shoulder as she walked through the twisting paths. Shadows danced in the moonlight, mocking her every step. Time drained through her fingers, and cold dread laced her thoughts. What if she was too late? What if the villagers had already succumbed to their nightmares? A gut-wrenching scream split the air again, echoing from the direction of the town square. It was Iris, a mother of two, known for her laughter and warmth. Sophia's heart sank, a lead weight pressing down. Gathering her courage, she ran toward the sound. Each step felt like wading through thick mud, the fear gnawing harder at her resolve. As she reached the square, she found Iris, trembling and wide-eyed, backed against the old stone fountain. Shadows clawed at her. Around them, villagers stood frozen, their faces pale, the same raven marks blooming across their skin, like weeds suffocating a garden. Make it stop! Please! Iris wailed, her breath hitching with sobs, a dagger of panic twisting deep in Sophia's heart. We need to gather together, Sophia shouted, forcing her voice to be heard above the rumble of fear. We have to face this. We cannot let Ragnar take another one of us. Eyes lowered, some shifted uncomfortably, muttering among themselves. The weight of despair clung heavily, their acceptance of defeat stung. Please! Sophia pressed, glancing at each hollowed face. Look at your marks. They share a bond, your fears, your hopes. We can use them to fight. Together. Just then, a gust of wind whipped through the square, stirring shadows as a shiver danced down her spine. The whispers curled into her ear again, insidious, luring her into despair. There's no hope, child. Given it will be easier. No! The word burst from her lips like a dam breaking. I want to let you in. Sophia stepped closer, standing tall against the darkness. Remember when we worked together in the fields? When we laughed by the fire? Those memories are stronger than Ragnar. The villagers exchanged wary glances, hesitance flickering like candle flames in the wind. But doubt was a hungry beast. It will make us suffer more, muttered an elder, his voice hoarse. He relishes our pain. No! Sophia shouted, her spirit igniting with a warmth she thought lost. Each one of us has endured suffering. But we stand together. We can face Ragnar, we can reclaim our dreams. A murmur spread through the crowd. Hope ignited, small yet fierce. Sophia's heart soared with the weight of possibility. Just then, a flash in the corner of her eye caught her attention, a shadow, darker than the rest, slithering through the crowd, weaving between the villagers. It was grotesque, with eyes like burning coals. A chill wrapped around her spine, a single surge of dread urging her to flee. Ragnar! He has come! Someone screamed, eyes wide and wild. Panic erupted as villagers scrambled away, their feet pounding against cobblestones, angling to escape the creature that lurked just out of sight. But not Sophia. She held her ground, heart racing, fists clenched. We can't run from this, she shouted. We have to fight. The whispers crescendoed, echoing in her mind, rattling her sanity. It would be easy to let fear win. But within that torment, something shifted. This was more than just a battle against Ragnar. It was a fight to reclaim herself. Just then, Iris stepped forward, her eyes aflame with newfound courage. We stand together. The air thickened with a crackling energy, an awakening ignited within them as they began to move closer, shoulder to shoulder. The darkness loomed larger than life, but hope shimmered brighter. Embrace your fears, Sophia called, feeling their energy resonate. Shadows shifted, recoiling slightly, and she could swear she felt the weight of Ragnar's presence pushing against her resolve. With one last unsteady breath, Sophia stepped toward the source of the darkness, hands trembling but voice fierce. Show yourself, Ragnar. We're not afraid. A laugh, deep and unsettling, reverberated through the square. Ah, Sophia, are you sure? Did you not hear their whispers? The words sent a jolt through her. Sophia stood firm, the heartbeat of unity pulsating around her. You don't own us anymore, she claimed. But just then, darkness surged forward, a vortex of despair. Would they stand strong or shatter under Ragnar's might? The time for choice had come. Would they embrace their fears, or would darkness claim them once more? As the shadows twisted and crept closer, Sophia felt her breath quicken. The moment had arrived. The darkness crashed over the square like a wave, a suffocating shroud that snuffed out the flicker of hope in Sophia's chest. Faces around her twisted in horror, eyes wide but stony, the whispers growing louder, a cacophony of despair that clutched at her throat. Sophia! Iris screamed, her voice tinged with panic as shadows began to morph into grotesque shapes. The night seemed alive, writhing and pulsating in rhythm with their fear. Anxiety surged through Sophia like electricity. She felt raw and exposed, stripped down by the darkness around her. But she couldn't back down. Not now. Not ever. Together! She shouted, rallying her spirit even when her own resolve trembled. We can't let him take what's ours. Just then, the chilling laughter echoed, reverberating through the stone walls of the square, gnawing at their confidence. Together? How sweet! Ragnar's voice slithered through the air like a venomous snake. You're all so naive. With a flourish, shadows curled around him, coalescing into a figure that no longer resembled a man, but a malevolent force. His once human features twisted into something grotesque, eyes glowing like coals set against a backdrop of darkness. He was pure dread, his presence an abyss that threatened to swallow everything whole. We must join hands, Sophia cried, reaching out to Iris, pulling the trembling woman into the center of the circle forming around her. Feel your connection. Combine your strength. Somewhere in the fluid movement of the crowd, a few of the villagers found their footing, tentatively linking hands, trembling but resolute. Others lagged behind, fear anchoring their limbs, stilled by the weight of despair. See? Ragnar taunted, glaring at the wavering group, his voice a chilling hiss. You aren't strong at all, you are broken. But Sophia shook her head, pushing back against the rising tide of fear. No! We're not broken, we're healing. A fire ignited in her chest, unexpected yet undeniable. As she focused on their combined energy, a glimmer of light began to pulse at their center, flickering like a candle caught in the wind. With each heartbeat, it grew stronger, the warmth radiating against the encroaching dark. The marks! Iris gasped, looking down as the raven symbols glowed faintly. They respond to us. Yes. Sophia pressed. Our pain, our fears, they connect us. We are one. Embrace it. Doubt still lingered in some eyes, but slowly, one by one, more villagers stepped forward, linking their hands. A current built, charged with warmth, coursing through their entwined fingers. The spectrum of emotions throbbed: fear, pain, strength bleeding together into a shared resolve. Then, Ragnar's laughter hit them, louder and more sinister than ever. You think this will protect you? You're alive, but your souls remain trapped. He lunged, slashing towards Sophia with shadows that clawed and reached, wanting to tear her apart piece by piece. A collective gasp rose among the villagers, terror flooding through them as they wavered, threatening to disband. But Sophia stood tall, summoning every ounce of her courage. The light between them pulsed stronger, illuminating the darkness, the air vibrating with raw power. We will not be your puppets! Sophia shouted back, feeling the hum of unity intertwining with her fear. We choose to fight. In an instant, the energy burst forth from their joined hands, a brilliant flash that clashed against the shadows. It pushed against Ragnar, causing the darkness around him to uncoil, howling as it was forced back. But even as the light surged, a sense of dread slithered into Sophia's mind. This wasn't just a battle of courage. There was something deeper, more sinister lurking beneath the surface of their connection. Ragnar's form flickered but did not fade. You may resist, but you can never escape. This is just the beginning. The darkness wrapped tighter, shrouding them in uncertainty. The air crackled with tension that danced between hope and despair. What price would they pay for their defiance against Ragnar? Sophia's breath hitched, a weight settling in her stomach. Fear churned alongside dumbstruck courage. Were they truly strong enough to fight? And as the light pulsed between them, fracturing the depths of night, a sudden realization struck her: the true battle was just beginning. What lay at the heart of their unity? What horrors awaited if they truly confronted Ragnar? As darkness lashed out again, Sophia gripped Iris's hand tight, a fleeting bond anchoring her as the storm of despair loomed. Could they hold in the face of collapse? Her heart raced, pounding like a drum in a funeral march, the flicker of hope fading. Would the light be enough to dispel the shadows, or would the abyss claim them all? The pulse of light surged more fiercely than before, charging through the tightly held hands. Sophia felt the energy wrapping around her like an embrace, warming her within the freezing grip of despair. But even as it swelled, the shadows clung to Ragnar, feeding off his twisted delight. His laughter, cold and mocking, sent shivers down Sophia's spine. You think this little spark will save you? He sneered, advancing with fury. Your unity? A mere flicker against the coming night. Don't listen, Sophia urged the villagers, her voice steady but strained. Trust in each other. Trust in this moment. She could almost feel the connection beginning to fray as Ragnar's looming presence threatened to overwhelm them. A couple of villagers trembled, their eyes wide and haunted, subtly pulling back. But she could see the fire in Iris's gaze, a flicker igniting. It grounded her. In that heartbeat, Sophia closed her eyes and focused. She could feel the energy of those around her, a tapestry woven from their fears, hopes, and shared suffering. The raven symbols tattooed on their skin began to glow fiercely, vibrant against the choking dark. It was their pain that bound them, made them strong. If only they could harness it, channel it into a force Ragnar could not withstand. Breathe. Sophia called, a rhythm to their collective heartbeat. Channel your fears into strength. As the villagers inhaled deeply, the light burst brighter, the shadows recoiling from its brilliance like a creature frightened of daylight. A sudden stillness filled the air, the buzzing hum of energy transforming into a melodic harmony that resonated deep within their bones. Now! Push! Sophia shouted, feeling a surge of adrenaline. It was time to fight, to reclaim their city, their lives. They were not alone in this. Together, they were a force to be reckoned with. With a fierce yell, the villagers pressed forward, the light erupting forth like a wave crashing against an unforgiving shore. It engulfed Ragnar, illuminating his grotesque features, distorting the shadows that clung to him. For a moment, the dark shifted and flickered, revealing the fear behind Ragnar's eyes. A crack formed in his confidence, but that moment was fleeting. An anger, raw and potent, surged within Ragnar, a storm brewing. "You think you can banish me?" he roared, his voice a tempest. "I shall consume you whole." And then he unleashed his shadow-laden tendrils, serpentine and hungry. They snaked toward Sophia, a coldness descending as despair threatened to suffocate her again. "Together! Don't let go!" Iris screamed, squeezing Sophia's hand tighter. The connection surged again, fighting back against the encroaching dark, determined against Ragnar's insidious grasp. Sophia's heart thudded painfully in her chest, but she leaned into the warmth of their collective courage. "Feel the light. Let it overcome the dark." The pulse quickened. It wasn't just theirs anymore. From the edges of the square, more villagers surged forward, emboldened to join their ranks. The circle expanded, and the energy rippled, a brightness that pushed against the walls of despair. Then it happened, a blinding flash erupted from the hearts of the combined villagers, illuminating the entire square. In its radiance, Sophia caught sight of figures beyond Ragnar. Shadows ripped apart, revealing fleeting glimpses of the souls he had trapped. Faces marked in anguish, yearning for liberation. "We're not just fighting for ourselves," Sophia shouted, the realization flooding her. "We're fighting for them." But Ragnar howled in rage, a sound mixed with rage and desperation. "You'll pay for this betrayal. The true horror is yet to come." The ground shook beneath them, reverberating against the beating of their hearts. An otherworldly echo pierced through the square, pulling them all toward a precipice they hadn't seen, the shadows of the past colliding with the dread of the present. As the light crumbled and darkness loomed, Sophia's heart raced, fear gripping her limbs. Could they withstand the fallout of Ragnar's true power? Would their resolve be enough to tear down the walls of despair that threatened to trap them all forever? The air throbbed with unspent energy, the battle far from over. A truth lingered in the darkness. The real fight against Ragnar was only beginning. What awaited them on the other side of courage? What sacrifices would they have to make to embrace their freedom? The ground trembled like a frightened animal beneath the weight of Ragnar's mounting fury. The pulse of light, once an illuminating shield, flickered dangerously, threatening to dim. Sophia could feel the dread seep into her bones, wrapping around her like icy fingers. But she had to hold on. The villagers were counting on her. "Eyes on me!" she shouted, desperation lacing her tone. "This is our moment!" Ragnar's shadowy tendrils writhed voraciously, seeking to infiltrate the vibrant energy that pulsed from the villagers. They twisted and coiled, menacing, gnashing like hungry teeth. Sophia focused on the warmth of their connection, letting it fill her, stoking the light within. She envisioned every villager's hope and pain an unstoppable tide. "Don't let the darkness touch you," she cried, urging them forward. The villagers responded, their faces set with fierce determination, eyes narrowed against the encroaching shadows. They tightened their grip, fingers weaving an unbreakable chain. Yet, Ragnar's rage erupted, sending a wave of cold despair crashing down like a storm. "Pathetic fireflies," he hissed, his voice a whip of darkness. "You are nothing against my depths." The shadows lunged, and a wave of fear washed across the crowd. Some villagers faltered, their hands trembling, sweat beading on their brows. Panic threatened to swallow them whole, but Sophia refused to give in to it. She was fighting for them, a collective heartbeat pulsing against the void. Let your pain be heard. She pushed out, her voice a clarion call. As if ignited by her words, the villagers drew strength from one another. A shimmering wave of energy surged around them, almost palpable, waxy and robust. They broke through the creeping haze of despair. Then, with a roar that sounded like thunder, Ragnar's tendrils lashed toward them. The blackness coiled violently, ripping against the light's barrier. Sophia felt the air grow heavy, a suffocating weight pressing down. But then it happened. A villager, baffled by the dark's strength, raised their voice high, singing a song of old, a melody sweetest and purest. Others joined in, harmonizing, melding their trembling voices together like a growing tide. Ragnar recoiled, hatred boiling in his eyes. Your song means nothing, he shrieked, but the villagers pushed back harder, linking their voices to form a protective shell around them. For freedom! They chanted, the words spilling forth like cascading drops of rain into a drought. One by one, they found their voices, filling the square with overwhelming harmony that sang out against the shadows, igniting flickers of hope in hearts long frozen. Sophia's heart swelled with pride. They were not just fighting for they themselves anymore. They would reclaim every lost soul trapped within Ragnar's darkness. The tendrils hesitated, faltering as if the shadows themselves were frightened of their song. But just when it seemed they might push Ragnar back completely, the darkness thickened again, swirling like a storm. You think you can defeat me? I am the past, the horror that is your legacy. A haunting wail echoed, chilling their bones. The villagers fell silent, eyes wide with confusion and fear. What does he mean? Iris murmured, dread etched on her face. What is our legacy? Sophia felt the shadow's grip tighten. It's trying to manipulate us, to twist our minds. She steeled herself, knowing their only chance lay in unearthing the truth behind Ragnar's words. Sing! She urged, reigniting the spark within her people. We have come so far. We have to confront the truth. Together, they surged forward, the song rising with new determination, bursting through the dark like a beacon through mist. But deep inside, Sophia's mind raced, and questions clawed at her spirit. What secrets from their own past had Ragnar unearthed? Could the darkness truly unveil what they had buried in fear? As the chorus swelled, a sudden crack echoed through the air, a visceral jolt that shook them all to their core. The ground split, shadows spilling forth. The true horror is just beginning, Ragnar laughed, each word an icy blade that pierced the growing light. What awaited them in the darkness? Would the truth bring them victory or devastation? The ground quaked violently, a violent response to the awakening shadows. Sophia's heart raced as she clung to the flickering light radiating from the villagers. The split widened, echoing with a growl that rumbled through the earth, as even the darkest corners of Ragnar's lair began to writhe and pulse with ominous energy. Hold the line! Sophia shouted, her voice breaking through the chaos, reverberating with a fierce urgency. We fight together! The villagers, their brows knotted with worry, echoed her resolve. They locked eyes, a sea of determination amidst the storm. As the chaos intensified, dark figures clawed their way from the gaping crack, each writhing shape a twisted abomination that seemed drawn from the deepest nightmares. Sophia's breath hitched. This was no mere shadow. This was a manifestation of their fears, a physical embodiment of all the terror they had tried to forget. The villagers gasped, instinctively taking a step back as monstrosities formed a swirling mass of faces, each one a specter from their collective past. They were twisted, anguished remnants of those who had once lived in the village, and their mouths gaped in silent screams filled with anguish, as if trying to speak the truths they had buried in shame. Those are our fears! A villager shouted, pointing at the swirling mass. It's what we've kept hidden for too long. Sophia felt her heart sink. The legacy Ragnar spoke of was stark and undeniable. He was right. The darkness wasn't just a threat from outside. It was a reflection of everything they had tucked away, the pain, the guilt, the unacknowledged despair. No! She roared, pulling from the depths of her gut. We will not be choked by what we fear. With a cry, she raised her arms high, as if inviting the energy flowing within her to break free. "Sing your truth," she urged again, desperate. "Let their screams be heard. It's time to reclaim our legacy." One brave voice began to rise above the clamor, shaky but fierce. More followed. The villagers sang out their individual sorrows, lost hopes, cruel judgments, memories warped by time. The cacophony turned into a powerful hymn of suffering combined with resolve. The harmony was imperfect, raw, but it was genuine, filled with the potent essence of unfiltered emotion. With every note, the shadows shrank back, flailing as if physically struck. Ragnar's laughter faltered, a discordant note against the urgent singing. "You cannot escape your past. It is woven into your very being." "Maybe it is," Sophia shouted back, her voice rising above the din. "But we can transform it. We are more than our scars." Suddenly, amidst the shrieks of the shadows, a small light flickered. Sophia turned, focusing on a child standing alone at the edge of the crowd, eyes wide with fear. Yet, there was a glow about them, an inexplicable warmth that pierced through the lingering darkness. They began to sing, a gentle lullaby, undeterred by the terror facing them. The villagers faltered, instinctively quieting. But in that silence, the child's voice became a soothing balm. It wrapped around them, creating a cocoon of hope. One by one, others joined in, melding the harmony of their sorrow with the brightness of the child's song, creating an anthem of healing. But Ragnar's face twisted into a mask of fury as the shadows coiled tighter around the villagers. "Foolish children! You cannot silence what has been unleashed." A blinding light erupted from the villagers, fueled by their collective strength. But even as Ragnar recoiled, the shadows surged forth one last time, desperate to consume everything in darkness. "Can we withstand this?" Sophia's heart raced. "Will this light be enough?" With one final surge of unity, they wove their voices together, the sound rising like a tempest against Ragnar's wicked laugh. Yet, in that moment, a far more dreadful question loomed larger than the shadows themselves. What if Ragnar was not just feeding on their fears, but awakening something far worse lurking in their legacy? As the darkness exploded outward, threatening to engulf them, a thought flashed through Sophia's mind. If they confronted these battling shadows, would they finally vanquish Ragnar? Or might they instead awaken the nightmare that had remained dormant for too long? The air thick with tension, they stood firm, poised on the precipice of understanding. But the shadows were still gathering, reforming with a sinister energy. What would it take to confront the true horror lying within? And would their unity be enough to combat the reality of their past? The ground shuddered again, a relentless force reminding them of the battle they faced. Sophia stood rooted, heart pounding in her chest. The cacophony of the villagers' song clashed against the echoes of Ragnar's laughter. Every voice was vital, every note pushed back against the impending wall of darkness. Yet, she felt an unsettling fear grip her gut. The shadows convulsed, morphing into more grotesque forms, their aims clear: devour hope, crush resolution. Sophia's instincts screamed. "We must not waver," she implored, her voice barely rising above the chaotic melody. But doubt began to creep into her thoughts. Had they unwittingly unleashed something that should have remained buried? As the villagers chanted, the tendrils of darkness thrashed violently, reaching toward them, snaking into the hearts of those nearby. Sophia could see the terror in their eyes, the determination wavering under the weight of old fears. Were they truly singing their truths or merely awakening darker echoes from their souls? "Back, shadows!" a villager shouted, desperation lacing his voice. "We are stronger than you." Yet as each word fell from their lips, the shadows seemed to grow larger, hungrily consuming the very light they tried to wield. The flickering glow from the child dimmed momentarily, then surged again, fighting valiantly against the grip of despair. That innocent voice, a beacon in this void, reminded Sophia of the raw courage that came from facing one's pain head-on. Then, an excruciating howl ripped through the air. The shadows writhed, recoiling as if struck. Sophia squinted, catching the faintest flicker of someone moving through the mass of darkness. A figure, a woman shrouded in grief, her face twisted in anguish. They're here, our ancestors the lost, she cried, reaching out as shadows pressed against her. The recognition tightened around Sophia's heart. These were not just mere phantoms. They were a testament to every unwritten story, every scar inflicted by time. They were the village's legacy, forgotten but never truly gone. Join us, the woman called, desperation bleeding into her voice. Together, we can soothe their pain. We can release them. Sophia sensed a shift in the air. The villagers hesitated, unsure. The darkness shifted as well, taking advantage of their moment of doubt. Panic threatened to overtake them. No! Don't let the past paralyze us, Sophia urged. We hold the power to change. Their fear doesn't define us. Recognition sparked in the villagers' eyes. A collective decision formed in their hearts, rising like the sun after a long night. Slowly, trembling hands reached toward one another, not just seeking light but also understanding. They were not just battling shadows, they were reclaiming their stories. As they joined their voices with the woman's tormented wail, the shadows flared, trying to swallow the warmth, but the united force only intensified. The overwhelming darkness shrieked in an unholy chorus, retreating inch by inch in the face of their sung solidarity. But just as Sophia felt victory ripple through them, Ragnar's laughter thundered around them once more, sharper and more furious. You think this can save you? He sneered. You are merely awakening the true horror that runs deeper than your mortal fears. Chill ran down Sophia's spine. What do you mean? She shouted back, her voice wavering, betraying the uncertainty lurking inside her. The moment is near, he hissed, eyes gleaming like coals. When your past will rise fully. Then, you'll face more than just shadows, little girl, you will confront the true horror of your legacy. With the shadows writhing and the villagers holding tight to each other, a cold dread flooded through them. What was deeper than the shadows they fought? What truth waited to be unveiled? As the ground quaked with the impending revelation, Sophia's mind raced. Would they be ready to face whatever lay hidden within their past? Or would the shadows consume them all in a darkness far more profound? Sophia felt the air grow heavier, the darkness pulsing as though it were alive, one massive, writhing entity. As each heartbeat thrummed in her ears, it began to drown out the villagers' straining voices, their courage faltering in the face of Ragnar's menacing threats. Do you hear it? Came a whisper from the edge of the crowd. A frail old man trembled, his eyes wide with fear. The voices of our ancestors, they won't be silenced, not now. Sophia turned to the man, her heart aching. The connection between the living and the dead ran deeper than she had ever realized. It wasn't just about fighting shadows. It was about understanding the pain that had formed them. The past had come alive, tangling within the present, and she felt its icy grip around her soul. With a deep breath, she pushed forward through the thrumming sound of despair. We cannot let them control us, she cried out, her voice cutting through the chaos. They need to be honored, not feared. We must face them, together. The villagers looked to her, eyes clouded with doubt and hope alike. The shadows thrashed closer, their twisted mouths formed into hungry shapes, yearning to devour the very essence of vitality. Come on! Sophia shouted, taking the hands of those nearby, linking them one by one. Let us sing for our lost. Let us remind them they are not forgotten. As they joined hands, a jolt of light sprang from their collective energy, illuminating the area around them faintly. The shadows recoiled, hesitant, as if the very fabric of the darkness could sense their will. The woman from before stood among them again, no longer just a specter of grief, but a figure filled with purpose. Feel what's lost, she urged, her voice echoing through the cacophony. Let us reclaim our stories. Let the pain be heard. With renewed vigor, the villagers began to chant, their voices blending into a melody that resonated with both anguish and joy, a song that wrapped around the shadows. But Ragnar's laughter roared once more, echoing through the air like a sinister wind. You dare confront your past? He taunted, stepping from the engulfing darkness. His figure loomed larger, casting an oppressive shadow over the group. You will regret this. What lies beneath your joyful cries is a truth you cannot withstand. Sophia met his gaze, defiance blooming in her chest. "We will not be afraid of you, Ragnar. The truth is our strength." "Foolish girl." He lowered his voice, a chilling whisper laced with venom. "The horrors you awaken are not just shadows. They are your blood, a legacy stained with grief and betrayal." Each word cut more profoundly than the last, shaking the foundation of her resolve. The villagers gripped tighter to one another, but Sophia could see the tremors creeping in, the flicker of doubt dancing in their eyes once more. Suddenly, the shadows surged, gathering, coiling around Ragnar like a serpent as he raised his arms, reveling in the chaos. "What you fear lies within. What you dread is your lineage. Fight it. Don't let him twist our past into chains." Sophia shouted, rallying her voice above the din, desperation washing over her. One by one, the villagers began to chant even louder than before, their voices harmonizing with emotion, igniting flickers of ancient power. In that moment, Sophia could sense something shifting, a tidal wave of resistance rising against the encroaching shadows. But the ground shook violently, as if warning them, and from the depths emerged visions of their past, their ancestors filmed in rage and pain, faces twisted and anguished. "Face the truth, or be consumed," Ragnar threatened, his eyes gleaming with twisted delight. In the depths of the swirling darkness, something vast stirred, and a familiar question echoed in Sophia's mind: had their courage awakened to a force they could not manage? Would they expose their dark legacy or watch as despair swallowed them whole? As shadows warped into nightmarish shapes, Sophia grasped tighter onto the hands around her. The battle had only just begun, and her heart raced with realization: we either face our truth together, or we'll all fall forever into darkness. Behind them, the shadows whispered louder, weaving the secrets of their lineage into the air. Would the villagers forge a new path or be lost to the past once and for all? Sophia stood at the precipice of fear and courage, heart racing as shadows danced dangerously close. She could feel the collective tremor of her fellow villagers around her, a mix of uncertainty and resolve swirling like a fierce storm. Ragnar's laughter echoed off the stone streets, a booming, chilling sound that sent shivers through her spine. "Do you truly think you can face what lies beneath?" he taunted, shadows swirling around him like a living cloak. "Together," she shouted, clenching the hands of those beside her. "We will face the shadows of our past. We must remember not just who we were, but who we can be." Her voice rang with a fierce hope, cutting through the suffocating dark. As the villagers united, a palpable surge of light flickered at their center, igniting with shared determination and knowledge of the pain they carried. One by one, their demons, the shadowy shapes of forgotten souls, began to materialize around them, faces twisted in despair but full of intent. These were their ancestors, not merely phantoms, but a connection to the legacy they couldn't ignore. "Face them," Sophia urged, feeling the pulse of their unity grow. "They need to be heard, honored. Let us reclaim our strength." With that, she led the charge, lifting her voice in a song woven from sorrow and determination. The melody wrapped around the villagers, lifting them as one, a chorus invoking resilience. Each note pierced the heaviness, the shadows hesitating, twisting in response. "You're all fools," Ragnar spat, but even he couldn't hide the tremor in his monstrous voice. The shadows recoiled, pushing back against the radiant tide forming around Sophia. "You dare confront your history?" "Yes," Sophia shouted back, her spirit igniting. "We're not running from it. We're rising from it." The light brightened with those words, shimmering like a beacon, washing away despair with strength born from truth. Suddenly, a larger shape in the darkness surged forward, a relentless tide, fueled by Ragnar's wrath. "You think you can take me down?" he roared, his voice trembling the very ground beneath them. "You'll never escape your lineage. Watch us," Sophia countered, feeling the power of the villagers at her side surging forward in unity. They sang louder, voices intertwining harmonies filled with the pain of their past and the hope for the future. Each word vibrated through the air, creating a buffer against the encroaching dark. In a moment of clarity, Sophia shut her eyes, letting the sounds and emotions wash over her. The shadows around her ancestors shifted, their faces now reflecting understanding, a realization that they weren't the enemies but rather the foundation for healing. Everyone had their story, their burdens, but today they would rise up, together. Then, through the chaos, Sophia heard a voice, calm yet powerful. "Sophia," it said, cutting through the din. A spectral figure stepped forth, a woman appearing among those once buried in shadow. "We are not your chains, we are your guidance. Remember those who came before you. Tell us," Sophia begged, heart vibrating with urgency. "What must we do?" Another voice floated through the tumult. "Embrace our struggles, give voice to our pain. Sing it out." The villagers joined hands tighter, flooding the square with a brilliant light, igniting even the most hardened hearts. With every pulse of light, shadows peeled back, revealing the horror of loss and anguish but also the possibility of renewal. They were not just the pain that defined them but also the strength that could liberate them. "Face the truth without fear," Sophia cried. "This is our legacy, and we will not let it chain us." As the whispers of the past harmonized with the voices of the living, a wave of empowerment propelled through the air, shimmering bright enough to paint the darkness with glimmers of hope. Fear would not consume them. Instead, it would become part of their anthem. Ragnar steadied himself, but even through the chaos, the relentless unity of the villagers grew more potent. And as the shadows twisted around him, he wailed in agony. "This cannot be. You are weak." Yet even his despair was fading, crushed beneath the weight of their renewed resolve. Then Sophia, with eyes wide and full of warmth, pointed forward. "We will face this together. We reclaim our stories, our fears, our lives." In that moment, the darkness began to splinter, revealing glimmers of light that pierced through like the dawn breaking after a long night. The villagers surged forward, voices lifting in one final cry, a glorious anthem that filled the cracks with their pain but transformed it into something powerful. And from the shadows, their ancestors emerged, taking shape and stepping into the light. Together they faced Ragnar, their truths standing loud and proud. The figure twisted in rage and terror, his shadowy cloaks unraveling before the brilliance of their unity. "No more!" they shouted, empowering the words with the light of thousand stories. "Our legacy is one of strength, not despair." As the light engulfed Ragnar, screams of defeat echoed off the stones. It swept through him, undoing the anguish, until nothing remained but the whispers of the past in a ghostly serenade, fading like mist under the sun. Sophia breathed deeply, the air thick with the scent of dawn. The villagers held hands, eyes shining, a wave of relief flooding them. They had conquered not only the shadows but had embraced their truth together. As the first rays of sunlight broke over the horizon, illuminating their village, a new hope kindled within each heart. They were free. They had faced the darkness of their heritage and emerged stronger, lifting each other up as they forged a path into tomorrow. "Let this mark a new beginning," Sophia vowed, her voice unwavering. They would remember their past, but it would never define them. Together, as one, they stepped into the light, a legacy reborn. And so, as they embraced the warmth of each other as presence, it became clear, Ragnar's dark legacy was no longer a haunting shadow but a story of resilience, of community, a testament to their lives intertwined. As they turned their faces to the sunrise, they knew they had rewritten their fate, and they would carry this victory beyond their village, sharing light in the darkness wherever they went. They had conquered not just a nightmare, but fear itself. Now, before you go, this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that are coming your way. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm, and keep this community thriving. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this epic conclusion. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see how this all ends. Stand with us, and let us keep our stories alive.